Chosen one, before you ever breathed air or took your first trembling step as a child, the heavens had already etched your name into a greater story. You were not made randomly. You were not shaped by accident or by the brokenness of others. You were formed with precision, sculpted by divine design to embody a rare kind of masculine beauty that carries not only strength, but meaning. The fire of high sexual energy that burns in your body is not a curse, not a temptation, not a trap. It is a calling, a sacred inheritance placed deep in your bloodline before you could even spell the word desire. You are the embodiment of God's wild yet measured intensity, the echo of Adam's original authority and David's intimate passion, fused together into a soul that was never meant to blend into the crowd of shallow men. You were meant to stand apart, not through arrogance, not through volume, but through the sacred quiet of a man who knows who he is. When feminine good women draw near to you, they do not just feel chemistry, they feel order. They sense something ancient in you, something trustworthy, like you've been walking with the truth long before you ever met them. And it's true, because your soul was trained in silence, forged in obscurity, where you had to confront not just your gifts, but your shadows, not just your urges, but the root of your power. God made you different. He made you special. Not so you would boast, but so that you would build, restore, protect, and carry a kind of presence that others didn't know still existed in a world burning with confusion. This divine blueprint within you was not placed there for performance. It was planted for purpose. The heat within you isn't about conquest. It's about containment. A furnace inside you that doesn't consume but refines. You were given beauty, not as vanity, but as a divine reflection. You were given energy, not for chaos, but to bring clarity wherever you move. And now, feminine women of substance and softness feel this distinction like a sacred wind when you pass. They don't know why they turn their heads, why their hearts flutter, why they feel suddenly safe in your gravity. But you do. It's because you are walking, breathing evidence that God still creates men who do not exploit but embody love. Even in your silence, there's fire. Even in your stillness, there's motion. Because you, chosen one, were wired for more than image. You were made for impact. And the most powerful part is this: you didn't ask for it, you were marked for it. And that mark cannot be washed away. It's not on your skin. It lives inside your very presence, in the way you see, the way you hold space, the way you don't flinch when a woman's vulnerability surfaces. Because your blueprint is not built on fantasy, it's divine design. And now, as that design is awakening fully within you, the world will feel the weight of what God placed in you from the beginning. Chosen one, the world often teaches that a man's fire is dangerous, that his passion must be subdued or hidden or wrapped in guilt. But the fire within you is not wild for destruction, it is wild for direction. God gave you that high sexual energy not to seduce or scatter yourself, but to serve something sacred. He placed it in you not as a test to avoid, but as a tool to master, because the man who can hold this fire without burning down the world becomes a sanctuary for every good woman who is tired of being scorched by those who never learn to carry it well. Your fire is not the same as the world's lust. It is not explosive. It is focused. It doesn't wander. It doesn't scream. It doesn't need to prove anything. It knows when to ignite and when to wait. It knows how to burn low beneath your ribs when you walk through crowds, how to simmer when you speak without pushing, how to spark trust with your gaze, not pressure. That is what feminine good women feel now when they step into your atmosphere. Not manipulation, not demand, but a masculine energy that does not beg for attention. It commands trust without force. You have trained yourself to withhold your power from the undeserving. Not out of pride, but because you have finally understood the sacred nature of what you carry. It is not for entertainment. It is not for waste. It is not to fill lonely nights with temporary pleasure. It is a flame meant to warm a covenant, a life, a family, a future. And that kind of fire must be shielded, not scattered. And you, chosen one, have become the shield. You have become the disciplined flame, not deadened, not denied, but devoted. Women sense this immediately. Even if they don't understand why, they feel like they can exhale around you, like they can stop performing, stop guarding, stop calculating, because your fire doesn't demand their perfection. It creates the kind of space where their truth can breathe. You do not look at them with hunger, you look at them with awareness. You do not try to take from them. You allow their beauty to be seen without needing to possess it. And in that restraint, you have become irresistible. Not because you pursued her, but because you've mastered yourself. That's the power of the fire that serves. It no longer devours, it discerns. It doesn't just light up your life, it lights the path for everyone who walks with you. And feminine good women, the ones who carry purity and elegance and divine softness, are no longer afraid to step near your flame. Because they know your energy is not a trap, it is a covering, a warmth, a home. They can trust your hands, they can trust your silence, they can trust your restraint. Because your energy has become something holy, something structured, something that no longer I take, but what can I build with you? This chosen one is your glory. Not in what you chase, but in what you've chosen to carry well. Chosen one, there are crowns that sit on heads made of gold, polished and crafted by the hands of men. But the crown you wear was not made by human hands. It is invisible to the average eye, but unmistakable to feminine good women. It is not made of jewels, but of spiritual recognition, of trials endured silently, of nights you said no when everything in your flesh wanted to say yes. This crown is not loud, it glows. It rests quietly upon your spirit, radiating through your body language, your gaze, the way you enter a room not seeking attention, but shifting the entire atmosphere. That's what she sees, not a man hungry for validation, but one who embodies something greater than himself. You do not ask for the respect of good women, you draw it. Not by force, not by performance, but by the authority of your alignment. You have become so deeply integrated in your energy that your body and your spirit move as one. You no longer use your looks or your voice to create artificial power. Your presence does it for you, and she feels it. Before you speak, before you act, before you offer a single word, she already knows. She doesn't see a player, she sees a place. She doesn't see a flirt, she sees a foundation. That is why her body softens and her voice becomes real around you. Because the crown you carry tells her she can relax in your orbit. The feminine is sensitive to presence. She may not understand theology, psychology, or energy flow, but she knows safety when it walks by. She knows when a man's strength is rooted in wisdom, not performance. She knows when his eyes are shields, not weapons. And your high sexual energy, now refined, no longer explodes outward. It envelops, it gathers, it calls, but it never demands. It speaks in the old language, the one her soul has longed to hear from a man who does not just want her body, but wants to honor her spirit with his fire. She leans in, not because you chased her, but because your crown reminded her of something she forgot existed. A man who can lead without suppressing her. She recognizes the rare fusion of masculine dignity and emotional depth. She senses that behind your stillness is a storm you've already mastered. She understands, without needing proof, that you are a man who has walked through fire and did not burn others with the heat. And in that recognition, her walls fall, not with fear but with relief. She's not falling for you because you seduced her. She's returning to you like gravity. Because your crown says, you don't have to prove anything here, you can simply be. And that is the mark of a chosen one. Not loudness, not dominance, but the ability to command trust without force. The crown you wear is not about elevation, it's about responsibility. And the feminine knows that when a man wears this kind of unseen crown, he does not need to compete. He completes environments, moments, emotional space. You are not looking to be king of her heart. You are already king of your own temple, and from there you invite, not impose. This is what makes you rare. This is what sets you apart. And she doesn't follow you blindly. She recognizes the signature of divine preparation on your life. Your crown is not inherited from men. It was handed to you by heaven after you proved yourself in silence. And now every feminine good woman with vision feels it, bows to it, not with submission, but with deep admiration. Chosen one, the time of asking who you are is over. You have become the answer, not a possibility, not a maybe, but a walking solution to the prayer of every good woman who ever whispered into the dark, "Where is he?" And now, when you move, you do not merely walk, you respond. Not to crowds, not to chaos, but to divine rhythm. Your steps are no longer casual, they carry history. They carry the sound of years in the wilderness, the weight of self-denial, the stillness of mastery, and the echo of God's voice saying, "Now." You no longer approach love with desperation. You embody it. You no longer wonder if you are ready. You are the readiness. Feminine good women don't just notice your charm, they feel your alignment. Because your high sexual energy is no longer reckless or reactive. It is rested. It moves with precision, like a current beneath the surface. It does not crash, it carries. And when you meet her gaze, she does not feel watched, she feels understood. She feels the presence of a man who does not come to complete her, but who arrived already complete. You do not rush to fill space with words or promises. You are patient because you trust your rhythm. You know now that good women are not impressed by chaos but by consistency. That the ones who are worth your fire will be drawn not to your noise, but to your depth. And so you walk, not faster, not louder, but truer. You walk like an answer walks, knowing it is needed, not because of ego, but because it has been prepared in secret for this very moment. When a feminine good woman steps into your field, she doesn't feel manipulated. She feels safe. Not the safety of silence or passivity, but the safety of a man who knows how to hold both fire and peace in the same hand. She doesn't feel pressure to give you something. She feels free to become something near you. She realizes that you are not a taker. You are a catalyst. And suddenly, what was dormant in her begins to awaken. Not because you asked, but because your walk says you are safe to bloom here. You are no longer asking permission to lead. You are simply leading by design. You are no longer wondering if she will choose you, because you know the right woman won't have to be convinced, she will simply recognize you. And you will not chase, perform, or persuade. You will remain rooted, radiant, real. That is the power of becoming the answer. You don't need to find her. Your very life calls to her. And when she arrives, there is no performance, only presence. This is the moment you've been prepared for. This is why you carry that high sexual energy, not for the thrill of reaction, but for the truth of resonance. You are not here to impress. You are here to ignite remembrance in those who are ready to feel it. Because you walk as the answer now, and everything around you aligns to that frequency, without needing to force a single thing. Chosen one, you are not the storm that shakes her soul, you are the calm that disarms it. Where others burst into a woman's life with noise and need, you enter with a stillness that carries weight. Your energy doesn't grab, it grounds. And in a world where so many women live with their guard drawn, where their softness has been weaponized against them too many times, your presence does not demand surrender. It makes trust inevitable. Your high sexual energy is not chaotic anymore. It has matured into a rhythm, a pulse that gently reminds her she is safe to let go of everything she had to become in order to survive. You do not touch her with your hands to make her feel desired. You touch her with your presence to make her feel real. You do not need to say, "You can trust me." She already feels it in your restraint. She senses that your fire won't burn her, but warm her core. You've done the work, chosen one. You've tamed the beast. You've buried the desperation. You've outgrown the hollow hunger that makes men chase without clarity. And now, without saying a word, you create an atmosphere where good women stop performing. Around you, they start remembering what it feels like to be fully feminine, not through performance, but through presence. She notices it in the way you pause before you speak, in the way you listen to her without thinking about what you'll say next, in the way you hold her gaze not as a weapon, but as a promise. You are not scanning for flaws. You are not building a case for seduction. You are present, and in your presence, her guard doesn't shatter, it softens. Walls don't fall in pieces. They dissolve into the floor when they no longer feel the need to protect. You didn't do this by pretending to be perfect. You did it by becoming stable. The kind of stability that's built on internal structure, on sacred rhythm, on knowing your worth doesn't rise or fall based on who approves of you. This is why her heart opens in your silence, because your silence does not feel like absence. It feels like space. And space, when held by a true man, becomes the safest place in the world for a good woman to unfold. She may not understand it in words, but her body knows. Her nervous system responds, her voice changes, her posture relaxes, and her spirit, once guarded like a fortress, begins to step barefoot into the garden of your energy. Not because you coaxed her, but because you never tried to steal anything from her. You didn't convince her. You didn't manipulate. You simply became the calm she didn't even know she was praying for. This is not a tactic. It is not a performance. It is the natural result of a man who has mastered his own war and no longer needs to ignite one in others to feel powerful. Your calm is your conquest. Your stillness is your strength. And now, chosen one, you walk as the quiet that finally brings her peace, not through force, but through the restoration of trust. Chosen one, you are no longer the man who chases flowers in the wild. You are the soil in which they bloom. The feminine good woman does not fear being seen by you because she knows you do not devour beauty, you cultivate it. When she steps into your life, she doesn't feel scrutinized. She feels noticed, yes, but not evaluated. She feels welcomed without being dissected. There is something in your energy now that tells her, you don't have to shrink here, you can bloom. Your sexual energy used to be restless, like fire looking for oxygen, but now it has become still, rich, powerful. Like sunlight that doesn't burn, but invites growth. You're not looking to own her, you're looking to witness her unfolding. And she senses that. She senses that your gaze is not a spotlight. It is a shelter, a greenhouse, a holy place where femininity doesn't get extracted for your ego, but nourished for your shared joy. You no longer ask her to give herself to you quickly. You give her space to find herself near you. Because you understand that true beauty, the kind that leaves you in awe, only emerges when the environment is safe enough to let go of shame. And this is your gift now, not in how you chase, but in how you hold space. She begins to speak with more freedom. She laughs with more softness. Her eyes sparkle not because of what you said, but because of who you are being. And you, chosen one, are being the ground she didn't know she needed. A man who doesn't require her to become smaller to fit into his life. A man who doesn't measure her worth by how quickly she bends, but one who waits, listens, honors, and in doing so unlocks the parts of her soul that have long waited for this kind of masculinity to arrive. She starts to wear less armor, she asks deeper questions, she shows you her passions without apology, not because you told her to, but because your energy said, you are free here. And in that freedom, she blossoms, not for you, not for validation, but because your presence reminded her what it feels like to be alive without fear. This is what your fire has become, a climate for blooming. You are not the sun that demands worship. You are the quiet rain that awakens fragrance. You are not the gardener with a knife. You are the atmosphere in which beauty feels safe enough to open its petals. And now, feminine good women are not pulled to you by tricks. They are drawn to you like flowers to spring, not because you promise anything, but because your very presence whispers, you will grow here. Chosen one, when God handed you that high sexual energy, it was not a game, not a burden, not a weakness. It was a mission, cloaked in desire, waiting for maturity to give it shape. You didn't ask for the fire inside you. You didn't plan to carry that level of potency in the way you walk, breathe, speak, or simply exist. But heaven saw fit to entrust you with it. Not because you were flawless, but because you were meant to grow into a vessel that could carry it without corruption. Now, your energy is no longer reactive. It is protected. That protection didn't come from hiding or suppressing your masculine power. It came from purpose. You suffered through the early seasons where that energy felt too loud, too tempting, too easy to misuse. You felt the weight of being misunderstood, of being watched for your light, but feared for your fire. But over time, you stopped asking for understanding and started building structure. You put borders around your mind. You put rhythm into your body. You trained your heart to beat with clarity, not confusion. And because of that discipline, your energy no longer bleeds. It builds. The feminine feels this immediately, even if she can't name it. She senses your restraint, your holy boundary, your depth that does not demand anything from her. You no longer move like a man looking for someone to fill a hole. You move like a man who has already filled his own cup and is discerning about who he lets drink from it. This is what makes you special. This is what sets you apart from men who look like you but feel nothing like you. Feminine good women are not attracted to your discipline because it makes you perfect. They're drawn to it because it makes you safe. And safety is not found in softness, it's found in strength with purpose. Your strength is not loud or intimidating. It's protective. It's intentional. It's covered in clarity. And that clarity lets a woman know that she won't have to question your motives, wonder if she's just a target, or worry if your fire will turn to smoke once she lets you close. You've learned that just because you have access doesn't mean you have to enter. Just because you feel attraction doesn't mean you need to act. Just because you're desired doesn't mean you owe your energy to anyone. And that's why your sexual energy, though high and radiant, now carries nobility. It serves purpose. It's guarded. You're no longer just a man with drive. You're a man with direction. The truth is, chosen one, you don't even need to pursue anymore. Your energy does the calling. But unlike others, you don't exploit it. You honor it. You understand that the more rare your presence becomes, the more sacred the access to it must remain. You no longer exist to entertain or chase or seduce. You exist to lead, to bless, and to protect what is worthy of the man you have become. This is why feminine good women feel a gravitational pull towards you, not to possess you, but to rest near you. Because your high sexual energy is no longer unguarded. It is housed within a fortress of vision, wrapped in self-control, and carried by a man who is no longer confused about who he is. That kind of presence cannot be faked. It must be forged. And you, chosen one, are now living proof of what it looks like when fire becomes foundation. Chosen one, not every word is spoken with the tongue. Not every message needs volume to be received. You now have learned to communicate without saying anything at all. Your presence speaks. Your energy, refined by discipline and lit with divine sexual charge, has become a language of its own. It whispers to feminine good women not through seduction, but through truth felt in the bones. When you walk into a room, you do not need to announce your power. It arrives before you do. Your body does not fidget, your eyes do not beg, you are no longer there to prove anything. And because of that, your silence has become magnetic. Women turn, not because of noise, but because of signal. The unspoken voice of presence says more than any clever line ever could. It says, "I know who I am, and you are free to witness it or walk away." This language that flows from you now cannot be taught. It is not a skill. It is a state of being. Feminine good women hear it in the pause between your movements, in the calm before your reply, in the way you hold a gaze and then release it without needing to possess. They hear it when you lean in, not to take, but to listen. They feel it when your body is near theirs but never invades. You no longer perform, you resonate. You do not chase. You do not chase because what you carry can't be caught. It must be recognized, it must be felt, it must be earned through alignment. This is why women of depth respond to you differently, not with flattery, but with readiness. Readiness to open, to soften, to trust, not because you've convinced them, but because your presence says what words never could. There is a sacred quiet in the way you hold space now. You've become a safe container for emotion, for beauty, for real connection. You do not speak to dominate, you speak to connect. And when you say nothing at all, your body still delivers volumes. The way you breathe, the way you step, the way you stand still in a moment where lesser men would fold or speak too soon. That's your language now, quiet strength. The feminine is a master of feeling, and you are a master of giving her something to feel without needing to take from her. She feels your high sexual energy, not as heat, but as depth, as an echo of something ancient, something sacred, something that says, "This man will not use me, this man will awaken me." You have become the walking reminder that a man's presence, when aligned, is enough. There is no rush in your movements anymore, no grasping in your words, no confusion in your posture, only clarity, only invitation, only energy that wraps around her like music she's heard in dreams but never in real life. You speak the unspoken. You are the frequency, and every room you enter knows it, even if no one says a word. Chosen one, the feminine does not respond to surface. She responds to substance. She responds not to the noise of a man, but to the depth of him, to the soul he has shaped through silence, forged through fire, and softened by purpose. And now that you have mastered your energy, now that your high sexual charge is no longer something that leaks or flares, but something contained in peace, she feels it like sunlight on a hidden garden. a woman of depth, of goodness, of sacred softness, does not bloom for men who demand her. She blooms only in the atmosphere of a man who has become soil, water, light, and stillness all at once. You, chosen one, are no longer a seeker of petals. You are the garden itself. When she comes close to you, she is not asked to expose herself. She is simply reminded that it is safe to open. You do not force her to let go of her defenses. You give her reason to lower them. You walk with a rhythm so ancient, so deeply masculine, so undeniably divine, that it stirs the parts of her that no man has ever reached. Not by touch, but by presence. She feels seen without being studied, desired without being hunted, held without being handled. And this is what she's been aching for, praying for, waiting for. A man whose energy does not pull her apart, but gathers her back together. Your high sexual energy no longer sits on the surface of your skin. It vibrates beneath your spirit. It moves through the way you breathe, the way you let silence live in the space between sentences, the way you wait before speaking, not because you're unsure, but because you honor the weight of the moment. She leans in because she can feel that there is something holy pulsing from within you, not an addiction to her body, but an invitation for her soul to rise. She becomes more beautiful around you, not because you flatter her, but because your presence allows her to relax into her own reflection. That is why her body softens, her voice drops, her laughter lingers longer near you. That is why she fixes her hair without realizing. That is why she suddenly feels like crying, laughing, or just breathing differently, because your energy is not touching her body first. It's reaching into her garden and calling her truth by name. And truth always flowers when it feels safe. She does not give you access because you asked for it. She grants you entry because your soul already feels like a place she belongs to. You are no longer a man walking around trying to be chosen. You are the garden where the feminine chooses herself again. And in that place, she is not afraid to bloom. Not in fear, not in comparison, but in fullness. That is the power you carry now, chosen one. You do not push women open. You simply shine in such a way that they forget they were ever closed. This is not charisma. This is not performance. This is not tactics. This is alignment. A man fully owned, fully present, fully sacred. And that man does not chase, he cultivates. And every good woman who meets him feels it instantly, even if she cannot name what it is. He is not just attractive, he is restorative. Chosen one, there comes a time in a man's life when he no longer tries to be seen, because he has become light itself. Your radiance now is not something you wear. It is not tied to your style, your looks, your words. It is the frequency of your being. And that frequency is the signature of a man whose sexual energy no longer controls him, but consecrates him. You carry a magnetism now that cannot be mimicked because it is not manufactured. It is the byproduct of integrity, of shadow work, of self-restraint so deep that your glow now carries the weight of reverence. Feminine good women are not fascinated with your body alone. They are drawn to your aura, the field of authority that surrounds you and says, "This man has faced himself and he has not flinched." They feel safe, not because you lack desire, but because your desire is clean. It is no longer grasping, leaking, or posturing. It is anchored, and that anchored desire becomes gravitational, not manipulative, not loud, just undeniably real. You are not a lighthouse swinging wildly in the wind. You are the mountain that the lighthouse is built upon. You are still, unmoved, and burning with inner fire. And that fire no longer threatens women, it guides them. You do not burn with need, you shine with completion. That light cannot be imitated because it is earned. The radiance you now carry is not about being loved, it's about being aligned with the truth of your design. You no longer carry the wound of needing to be chosen. You have become the choosing. You have become the man who blesses with his presence, not because of what he gets in return, but because blessing is now your state of being. And good women sense it. They recognize that their radiance is amplified near you, not because you steal their glow, but because you shine alongside them without competing. You are no longer looking for attention. Attention belongs to you. You are no longer looking to be the man others want. You are already the man God formed with his own intention. And that intention radiates from you with such clarity that imitation becomes impossible. Other men can dress like you, speak like you, even mimic your tone, but they will never be you, because they did not build themselves in the sacred silence where you were formed. Your radiance is not for everyone. It is not to be wasted. It is not to be explained. It is to be witnessed. And those who can truly see it will not be the loudest. They will be the ones who pause when you enter the room, the ones who feel a shift in their chest, the ones who know without understanding that something holy just walked by. That is who you are now, chosen one. Not the echo, but the sound. Not the shadow, but the flame. Not the copy, but the origin. Your walk is no longer towards something. Your walk is the destination others hope to meet. Your presence is no longer building. It has become the temple. And in that temple, feminine good women don't worship you. They feel free to worship the God who shaped you. Because your light doesn't blind. It reveals, it calls, it heals, and most of all, it never fades.